Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another beginner's guide to getting started in EVE Echoes. Now this time around I've jumped into my Thrasher 2 and I'm docked here at Maspa in order to showcase encounters. That's what we're going to cover today. Now the tutorial does cover encounters, but ultimately this video is designed just to fill you in on all of the details in case there's anything you missed or were unsure about. Now, encounters are actually probably, in my opinion, one of the laziest ways to get a decent amount of ISK. Now, ultimately, I'm not going to say it's the best way of earning ISK, it's not. There are faster ways of getting ISK, but for like ISK to effort ratio, this is probably one of the best in the beta at the moment. In fact, in some cases, I think it's probably a little bit too good, but we'll get into that later. Now, to do encounters, all you need to do is come here, go through to news, and you'll get a list here of different encounters you can do. Now, you'll see that some of these have different marks on them, different kinds of details, so we're going to cover all of that now. So looking here at the Sisters of Eve Refugee Assistance. First of all, you can see that this starts a mere 4 jumps away. It's also got a symbol here in the top left that shows you that this is a transport quest. So if we tap onto this one here, you'll see here, transport mission, Sisters of Eve Refugee Assistance. It gives you a brief bit of story along with recommended ships and things like that, along with rewards. Now this is a really easy encounter and it earns you 200,000 ISK. If you're just sitting there AFK, like, you know, wanting to just talk to people, you can load up EVE and just run these pretty much on autopilot back and forth. You see here on the right hand side you've got the details as well, that you communicate with the guy who's giving the mission, you then dock at Ajahi 6, collect 80 refugees, then dock with Lissadef 4 and drop those 80 refugees off, so we're going to accept that one. Now while we're doing this we're also going to go for that interbus asset transfer and the water source pollution. Now it's worth on these kind of ones checking that required cargo volume, make sure that your ship is big enough. You don't want to accept too many of these all in one go on cargo transporting ones, simply because otherwise you're going to jump to a load of different places and have a cargo bay that's too full to pick up what you need to. Obviously therefore having a destroyer like the Thrasher 2 that actually has a decent sized cargo bay is a pretty good idea, and if you're into rigs, of course, you can go into rigs and you can expand your cargo bay in order to do these a little bit better. Now ones like here, you've got traditional dish. Now when you come into it, it doesn't actually show much other than it's a transport mission, but on the main page here you'll see it's got the Minmatar logo. Ignore the fact that it's got completed. If we look at taking advantage here on the bottom right, that's 1,000,000 ISK, and that's actually a really nice one to do. That Minmatar logo there means that this is one of the story missions, same as security threat here is one of the Galente missions. It's got the Galente flag next to it. And we're going to cover those in just a moment. So now I'm going to accept traditional dish and gravitational fluctuation. You'll see this is an exploration mission. This is going to a system and scanning it for data. These are the easiest things in the world. Of course we're going to accept that one. And finally, just to go over what they look like, if we have a look at taking advantage here, you'll see that this gives you this is a combat mission, hence the symbol there of like a target lock. And taking advantage advanced, it's go to a, or how the heck you pronounce that, and annihilate all enemies at the mission coordinates. Now it says here recommended level tier 7 with either a destroyer or a cruiser. Now I'm only tier 6, I'm not quite at skill point tier 7, but I've actually done this one before, and you'll see why this is empty in a moment, why it doesn't show as completed. It is tough, I'm not going to lie, in a destroyer, but something like a Thrasher 2 that's well kitted out can take this on, as long as you're careful and willing to jump back out of combat, so we're going to accept that one as well. Now, you'll see that when we accept a mission, there is a timer begins in the top right. Currently, I've not yet found any encounter that is longer than or shorter than 3 hours. They are all 3 hours. If you don't complete the mission in that time, it times out and it ultimately disappears. Even if you've got the stuff in your hold and you're at the station, you just haven't handed it in, you lose out on everything and you will not get the reward. Same as you can abandon it. Ultimately, if you keep just collecting missions, you won't be able to carry all of them. I think you can carry a maximum of 10, so if you've got 10 and you find another one you really want to take and you're like, oh, I can't, I'm already maxed out, you can abandon by tapping abandon, obviously, and that will sort that. So let's come back out of that. Now, when I said about story missions, let's have a look at those next. Story missions are a unique bunch. Now here you can see you've got Caldari, Minmatar, Amar and Galente, and you can see by the flags there, if we go across to Minmatar, you can see you get this screen. It's obviously this is the same if you're flying around in Caldari space or Amari or Galente, you know, it's up to you. But for me here in Minmatar, this is the one I'm looking at. Now, if you tap into any of these areas, like I'm going to look at For Freedom. And so if we tap into For Freedom, that'll bring us up to this here. And you'll see here, Freeing the Slaves, Homecoming Traveller, and Hidden Threat. These are the 3 news missions that you'll need to do. So if we have a look at, so here on Angel or Devil, this is the one, I think, I'm trying to find where it is, actually, that one that we've just taken. There's Traditional Dish, the one we saw earlier. And here, Refugee Left Behind. What was the one that we took? Hang on. It was somewhere on here. Taking Advantage, Advanced. So let's look in the story, see where that one is. That'll be on one of these somewhere, unless I'm just completely missing this. There we are, Taking Advantage. So on this particular one, you see I've already done Migrant Ship Distress Call, Reassure Citizens, Epidemic, and Refugee Left Behind. I've just got Taking Advantage left to do. Now, once you've done all of the items on this list, you get given a mission assignment. That is an item. It looks like, you can see here in the top left of this window, that sort of Minmatar logo on a data slate. Once you've done all of those missions, you will be able to accept a mission assignment. If you then close your way out of all of this, I don't actually have one in my inventory, so I can't show you, and you go to your item hanger, wherever you've just collected it, or if it might be in your ship's hold, you will find that item, that actual assignment, that like data slate with the data slate with the Minmatar logo on it, and you can accept that. You use that item to accept a mission, and it's a fairly long mission. For example, the first one here, For Freedom, has you jumping around a load of different areas in space. They're fairly close together. It's about 14 jumps from Maspa to start with. Then you jump around, I think it's about 4 or 5 different sectors, basically blasting Amar ships. And that can actually be quite challenging as a Minmatar player, because Minmatar ships tend to be weak to electromagnetic and thermal, and guess what Amar ships tend to use? That's right, electromagnetic and thermal energy lasers. So it's a bit of a tough mission, I'm not going to lie, it's not the easiest thing ever, but it does give you, I think it was 3.5 million ISK for completing it, along with this turret here at the bottom, the Freedom 280mm howitzer, which isn't a bad turret by any stretch. It's got some pretty good stats on it there. With especially the fact that it does more thermal damage than other howitzers do. It's not straight up the most damaging, but it's the fact that it's got that thermal on it makes it very, very different from the others. So these can be worth doing. Now you can see here I've got Matar Reborn and Against Disaster. Against Disaster is the one that I'm working towards now. Once I've completed Taking Advantage, I'll get another mission assignment. And you go to Mission and Rewards, and you can see here that this is a module size 3 Disaster Medium Shield Booster. Volume, power grid requirement, shield booster amount is huge, decent activation cost, and a very fast duration. That is a very, very quick shield booster. And a very powerful one. So these can be worth doing just to get those bits and pieces. Now, as you can see, I've already done For Freedom, but I can come back and I can do those 3 news missions again, and I'll get another mission assignment for Freedom, and I can keep doing that over and over and over, and just earning all those bits and pieces each time. Now finally, the third and final bit to look at here is the journal. Now the journal is where all of your accepted encounters are stored. Now, I'm going to skip through most of these, but basically, if you tap on the speech bubble, you can get all the way through the text here. We are going to cancel out of setting any autopilot each time, and we are just literally going to open up all of these different missions, one by one. Oops, tap too many times. Tap through these, close these off, cancel the autopilot settings. We don't want to, we don't know which one of these is going to be the best one to go for first. Again, I've tapped too many times, cancel that, go through. It's looking like the Sisters of Eve Refugee Assistance is going to be our first one. Now, what I would then do here is I'm going to go into this one, I'm going to set the autopilot. I'm not going to actually do it at this point, but I'd set that autopilot, and I'd drift through to location 1, which in this case is going to be going to Ajahi 6, Natura Warehouse, and getting those guys. Then don't just immediately accept the autopilot when you arrive and pick up whatever it is you're collecting. Open up your journal again and look at which the next one is in short jumps. I might find that once I hit Ajahi 6, the distance I need to travel to go and drop off all of those guys is actually further than going and picking up the interbus asset transfer and so on. You can kind of do this in a chain. Basically, every time you reach a node in the encounter, so in the case here, as I said, once I reach that place where I pick up the refugees, I would immediately open the encounters, look for whichever one of these is the fewest jumps away, accept that one, jump to it, and again, once I've done whatever that node is, I immediately open the encounters and jump to the next one that's in the shortest distance. And you kind of do a circuit, almost. Keep an eye on the news, because as you're going round, you'll know that here you've got a refresh. I can sit there and hit refresh on that now, and it'll take me to, it'll refresh all of these missions. And right here, try and start a fresh service, I can accept that one as well. Last of the Memories, Station Security Incident. I can grab a whole ton of these and just jump around doing them. And there we are, you've seen the number of, maximum number of missions. I'd need to abort some if I wanted to do that. So there we go, that's kind of how you get that list. And you can just choose how to jump around. And it's a really quick way of making money. I mean, you've seen that these, at advanced stage, which is like Tech 4 up, it's 200,000 ISK. This one's 200,000, this one's 200,000, this one's 150,000. That's nearly 1 million ISK right there, just for doing 5 of those. That's more than 1 million by the time we've done that one. And if we go and do Taking Advantage, that's an additional 1 million as well. Now, I'm actually going to jump and do this one now, just to showcase, hopefully, what the, you'll see, I can go into the inventory and actually showcase to you guys what those encounter documents look like, those special assignments, so we can actually do those. Anyway, I'm going to undock now, I'm going to start jumping to that system, and I will start recording again once I'm there to showcase how I do this particular mission for you guys. So, see you in a moment. So here we are now at the mission coordinates, and I'm just going to do my usual thing of easy locking on to everything, activating my vampire, all of my howitzers, and the gyro stabilizer, just to obliterate as much of this as I can quickly. And, of course, we do need to get an orbit set up, so let's do that too. Don't want to just be a sitting duck here, but you can see I've got a fairly stable capacitor, and I can do a decent punch of damage to things like those Gistum ruptures. That one at 14 kilometers, 13 kilometers, looks like it's about to go down at any moment. There it goes. It's an additional 70,000 ISK. So in addition to the 1 million ISK that I'm going to be getting for doing this particular mission, 70,000, like 70,000 additional there, another 20,000 there. This all adds up very quickly to a surprisingly damaging amount of money. I get a lot of money for doing this. Here we are, just waiting to take out this Talwar, and you'll see that in this particular mission, they are going to come in waves at me. So we're just going to wait until we take this one out. There we go, that's all of those out, and if I open up the nearby, you should get, there they come, a whole load. Now I'm going to take out that E-War first, that is going to be my priority. And so we're going to target that, we're going to orbit at about 9 kilometers. I'm then going to lock onto everything else, and start firing. Let's get that vamp on there as well, and do what we can. You see that's going to target, deal some hefty damage. You can see how much damage this Thrasher 2 really can put out. I can turn off the shield booster at the moment, just so I can start pulling my capacitor back up. Of course, with that Energy Nosferatu as well, I'm able to take a decent amount of their capacitor. Let's get that gyro stabilizer working just for an extra punch of damage. And you'll see that as a destroyer in something like the Thrasher here, there is just no difficulty at all. Oh, nice little bit of lag there. No difficulty at all for me to just obliterate these guys. This kind of follows on a little bit from the fitting video that I did on how I fit my Thrasher. You can see why I do it this way. That Alpha Strike damage is just huge. I need to lock onto that Stabber. That's doing some nasty damage to me. If things go the way they're going currently, I may need to jump out of sector. Yep, I'm going to jump out of here now because I'm taking a little bit too much damage, so I'm just going to pick the first thing and jump. I didn't actually want to jump, just warping would have been enough. So let's go through, and while we're there, I'm going to reset, and there's the lag again. I'm going to reset my autopilot so that when I arrive at the gate, it should automatically come this one back. And you see, I'm just going to leave that shield booster going now. It's the only thing going, just to get my shield back up to scratch. As we sit here, takes a little bit of time for my capacitor to recharge, and ultimately you don't really want your capacitor to go below 25%, as once it's below 25%, it takes a lot longer to recharge. So anyway, it's kind of already done it now, been talking, not concentrating, so let's just get that shield up as high as I can. Don't worry too much about my capacitor charge. I'm going to put a Nosferatu on as soon as I get here, so yeah, that'll help out. Turn that off. Now go back to local, easy lock, just to grab that Gistum Stabber fleet issue. There we go. and we are going to orbit again at about 9 kilometers. Activate everything, and hopefully we should get a nice big boom in a few moments. There we go, and we've got the Nosferatu who's going to kick in a moment, hopefully. But again, you can just see the damage that this ship can do in this situation. This is why I use my Thrasher 2 for this, with all of my turret skills and with the howitzers, because I can keep some range, I can outrange most of my opponents, and I can quite happily get in there and just deal that amount of damage. Now, are we getting a third wave in this one? No, just a breacher assault. Hopefully that's the only one that we've got to worry about. Those aren't particularly nice. So let's get that on there, get it orbiting, and get firing, and take this guy down as quickly as we can, because my shields and armor aren't looking overly great at the moment. 50% is not a fun place to be at, but there we go. You can see now there's like a red line going between us, red and blue line. That is the Energy Nosferatu now within range and taking its toll on them. So there we go, we've got a nice smash there. Are we going to get the final obliterate? Should be on the next hit now. There goes the shot. 100,000 extra ISK. That's a whole ton of extra money for doing this. I like doing combat missions because there we go. That's 1 million plus all of the bounties for killing those ships. And of course, beyond that as well, if I now open up here, you can see cruiser wreck. Let's loot it. This is nice because obviously I've just built a cruiser. Mark V missile launchers, cool. That's some stuff I could consider putting onto my my own cruisers. Let's auto approach there and loot this. Ooh. It's a problem with me tapping too fast. Mark V reactive shield hardener, nice. I do actually want one of those for my cruiser. I covered that briefly in another video. Mark V ballistic control system, not much use to me personally, but nice to have, so I can always sell it or break it down for parts. Let's move to the elite frigate wreck and see what we get there. Now, as I'm doing this, let's just approach, pull open that cargo hold, and see what that last bit of loot is. There we go. Ooh, a suspended status Weber fire, gallows missile launcher, and level 7 Minotaur ship debris. Yes, taking all of that, thank you very much. So we are now going to pick a station, go just for the closest one there, and we're going to dock so that I can do ship repairs. But in the meantime, if I open up the encounter menu, you'll now see that obviously that particular one in the story has now been done. If we go back to Mimitar, you can see here against disaster is lit up. This means I can go down here now and I can accept assignment. And it will clear all of those again, so if I want to go back and do each of those story missions to get another assignment, I can do. That's all there and ready, but I should have that assignment now in my main ship's hold. Obviously, we're about to lose the thing as we dock into the station now, but there it is, against disaster. Now, all you need to do here is you've got a bit of story, you hit accept mission on that, the assignment will be destroyed after you accept the mission, proceed, and here's the docking procedure. Stand by, that'll still be here on screen in a moment. There we are, the assignment will be destroyed after you accept the mission, proceed. So if we confirm that, I now have that mission. If I abandon it, I've lost it, and I'm going to have to go back and do all of those encounters again. So again, you can see now under the story encounters here, all of the against disaster ones, I'm now waiting for, I would need to go and do all 5 of those events again, all those encounters, in order to get another one. But if I go across to my journal, you see here, it's in a gold colour. And if we have a look at this, you'll see it's a 6-stepper, and it's recommending a tier 8 ship, something like a cruiser or a battle cruiser, but it gives you 2.5 million ISK and a very nice medium shield booster at the end. You can see here, it's collect 20 barrels of water, deliver those barrels of water, and then the sort of second part on there is go off to bay, 6 jumps away from my current position, and annihilate all enemies that miss up their mission coordinates. Those enemies are going to be tough. I will not lie, they will be tough enemies, including other things like E-warships that will lock you into position. They'll have like stasis Weber fires and that to stop you warping out. They'll have their own energy Nosferatus or things like energy neutralizers and all that kind of thing, just to make it a really tough day. So you want to go fully kitted out for this particular thing. And you can see in the top right as well that once you've accepted that assignment, it lasts for 10 days. You have 10 days to do this, or it fails. Now, on the original one, I actually had that going in the background whilst I was building my stabber and all kinds of stuff like that. I got up to the last stage, and I did lose a basic Thrasher, trying to, Thrasher Tier 1, trying to complete it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go back and build a cruiser, and then I'll go out and do that. And that actually made it a little bit easier. But here with this Thrasher 2, I reckon I might have a good chance on that. So that is what I'm going to do. Anyway, that covers everything here that I wanted to talk to about encounters, both the standard news encounters and the story encounters. That's how all of this works. I'm just going to repair my ship whilst I remember as well. And get the shields and that back up. That is how encounters work, and as I said, they can be a fantastic way of making a quick bit of money just by kind of going semi-AFK. I really like the combat ones, and I try to keep an eye out for combat ones when I can, because they're good fun, and again, 750,000 ISK for this Tribal Banquet one. That's in addition to any loot that you pick up from the ships that you destroy, plus any bounties that you get for the ships that you destroy in the mission. They actually get you a serious amount of money doing these combat missions. Anyway guys, thank you ever so much for watching. I do hope this has been useful and inspired you to maybe go out and do a few more encounters than perhaps you have been. And certainly, I know a lot of people have been asking how these story things work, so now hopefully you understand that too. Anyway folks, thank you ever so much for watching, happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.